Hi everyone, this is Terry Miller with Terry's Tidbits, and today we are going to finish up the from Process Builder to Lightning Flow record trigger flows. And in this particular video, we are going to look at the submit for approval process. So it's not showing you how to build approval processes, it's just the submit. And if you were on last week's video, you heard me kind of give a little bit of a rant of how I feel about approval processes, but submitting them through our Lightning record trigger flows, very simple to do, just like it is in Process Builder. So let's take a quick look. Let's begin by looking at our cheat sheet that we have created. And again, this is from Process Builder to Lightning Record Trigger Flows for submitting records for approval. On the left-hand side, we have what it looks like to do this in Process Builder, where you simply give it an action name, you're choosing that submit for approval, and you're selecting the approval process that you want to run. On the flow side, we need to choose that action element again. We use that a lot in these record trigger flows because it has a ton of things that we can do in it, including the submit for approval. And we'll slide on down to where you can see that new screen here for the action for submitting to approval. We're going to put just 2 items in here for our input variables, our record ID, and then we're going to paste in our approval process name. And you can download this cheat sheet at terrystidbits.com. And you can also read the blog posting about it there as well. So let's go ahead and jump over and take a look at our use case for today. And it is going to be, this time we've got an active field here that simply has a yes, no option in it. And if the chooser chooses no, when they save that record, we want to submit that for somebody to review it, just to verify that yes, they should be marked as inactive. And perhaps there's other systems that would need to be updated as well if this record becomes inactive. So that's our use case. Let's quickly take a look at the approval process. The approval process, again, we're not going to go into detail on that, just seeing that it is here. You do have to pre-build your approval process before you create your process builder or creating the record trigger flow for it. So that's our approval process. I do want to point out this unique name that's on this. We are going to come back to this in the record trigger flow. So just be aware of that unique name that's located there on your approval process. Jumping over to our process builder, we are on the account record, and you can see we've got a variety of different decisions here, and I'm going to slide all the way down to the bottom to the decision that says active equals no. So this again is looking at that active field on the account object, and when that is set to no, we have this immediate action that we're going to look at today, and that is I just called it account not active. I'm very clever in my names. And the account object, we're running a specific approval process, and you choose that approval process here. And we are skipping pretty much these last 2 fields because we're just going to let it do its default thing. You save that on the process builder side, activate it, and test it out. And that is how it looks on process builder. So let's move over to our flow builder. So with an approval process, we are impacting other objects again in the system. So if you remember our order of execution, if we are impacting something other than the record that triggered the flow, we're going to use an after record trigger flow. If we are changing something on the record that triggered the flow, we'll use a before. And an approval process, like I said, that does impact other objects, so it's an in the after. And you'll see here that we've got some of our previous lessons. We had some different decisions that we were working with, and I'm going to slide down here to the bottom of this thing. And I've already added our decision. We can take a look at this. So decision is active and our label inactive. Active dollar record, our friend, dollar record is active equals no. And we should probably set this so only run this when it first is set to no, so that we can make other changes and not have that run through an approval multiple times. Our default outcome is just labeled as active. Okay, so that gives us our two branches, active and inactive, and we are going to click on our plus sign, and we will choose the action again. So there are lots of options and actions. So if you ever get bored sometime, play around with the variety of different things that we have in here. They're just so many things that you can do with an action. So I'm just going to start typing approve, and there is the submit for approval. I'm going to select that. My screen opens up just like it does in Process Builder. When you select your action, it opens up the screen for a variety of new things that we can place in here. And I'm just going to call this action submit for approval. Now going down to our record ID. Now in Flow, we always have to tell these actions what's the record that we're working with, because these actions work across all of the different types of flows that we have. Sometimes it may not be the record that triggered the flow, so we always have to define this. And we will go down again to our dollar record, because I just really like dollar record. And if we look for ID, we should have our account ID here. Okay, so that means we're going to run the approval process with this particular ID. And now I've got a variety of other options listed here. And just like on Process Builder, I'm going to ignore most of them. I'm going to focus on this very first one, because we do need to tell it what is the approval process name or ID. And if I jump back over to our approval process, that's where we take advantage of that unique name. And I'm just going to copy that value in to my clipboard, come over to my flow, paste that in, and click Done. And with that, I have now set up my submit for approval. The last thing that I would want to do then is save this. I would then do some debugging on it. Well, actually, with it being a record trigger flow, can't do debug. So I'm going to have to just activate it, test it out. Hopefully it all runs just like it's supposed to. And we have wrapped up this series with moving from Process Builder over to record trigger flows. And I hope that what you have learned here is that flow really doesn't have to be that complicated. This is really your stepping stone to getting comfortable with using flow. I've said it multiple times in the blog post, but these elements, whether it's a decision, an action, whatever it might be that we're doing, an update, the address, all of these elements are compatible across all of the different flows. If you can do an update record inside of a record trigger flow, there is no reason you can't do an update record in a auto launch flow or a screen flow. Whatever you need to do, these elements are they function the same. So don't let the other types of flows intimidate you either. I am going to go and do some videos on those, so if you do stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, you will see me focus in on some of those additional elements in the other flows. One of the things I said in my blog post that I think is really relevant here is, if you remember when we were working with the before record trigger flow, our options for adding an element in here, we had just a handful of different options that we could do. And then when we transitioned over to the afterflow, we get a few more elements that are available to us. And if you go into a auto launch flow, you'll see even more. And then the same is true when you go into a screen flow, you're going to see even more there. So again, it just kind of keeps growing, keep expanding your knowledge on flow. It is such an incredible tool that if for things that perhaps you might have gone to a developer to do for you because you weren't able to write code, you no longer will have to do that. You can do flows. It is a fantastic tool. I really hope that you will take advantage of the things that Flow has to offer for you. If you have questions on it, do reach out. I'm always happy to engage with you and answer questions. Thanks again for watching this series. I do hope that it's been helpful for you. Have a fantastic rest of your day.